Greetings, people of Earth. I'm Jonathan L. Segal, the creator of Space Vacation the Musical, the sci-fi musical comedy for the whole family, and you're listening to the instrumental track for The Universe is Like a Song. Space Vacation's a story, a show, an album, and a podcast. You can hear all 22 songs at www.spacevacationthemusical.com. In episode number 2 of the podcast, I read chapters 2 and 3. Haon went to school and told his two-headed teacher, Mr. Asafalbood, and the whole class about their upcoming space vacation. And then Haon and family packed out rocket and they took off. In this episode, which is episode number 3, I'm going to read chapters 4, 5, and 6 and play some more songs from the album. Chapter 4. It was a sunny afternoon on the planet Segal, and the Illimath family were at the beach. Here was the purple ocean that Lorak had wished to visit. Now that they were off the bright yellow planet, they were seeing all sorts of interesting folks from around the galaxy. The beach was moderately crowded with people of all colors, sizes, and shapes. Some of the beachgoers were not, strictly speaking, people at all. There were Flifkins, who had arms that to you would look like elephant trunks, but since no one on this beach had ever seen an elephant, the comparison was never made. They were just, well, Flifkins. There were quite a few Noof. How can I adequately describe Noof? They were rectangular-shaped beings who reflected light in a way that made them almost invisible. They looked rather like large cassette tape boxes. Never seen one? Ask your grandparents about them. They neither tanned nor burned under the sun. Yes, there were many creatures from all over, all drawn to the beach on Segal. The Illimath family had a large Dayglow blanket to sit or lie on. They had a large styrofoam cooler for their beach beverages and fried lapanchkapa and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. The kids had their feet on the sand and were building a city out of sand and mud, and it was rather perfect. It looked almost like a real city except for the color. The family was playing the ancient word game Geography, in which you named a place, and then the next person had to name another place that started with the letter that the name before it ended with. Arcturus, said Enoch. Sirius, said Lorak. Do I have an S? Inquired Elo. That's right, sweetie, said Enoch. Elo thought deeply for a bit and then said, Solar System. Haon objected immediately. That's no good. Gotta be a name of a specific place. Solar System's a place, she appealed. Judge's decision, demanded Haon. Oh, I think that's just fine, Elo, said their mom. Haon protested. You didn't give me Gamma Ray. That's not somewhere we can visit, Haon, explained their dad. Lorak took out a tube of sunscreen and started to rub it onto Haon's back. Here, dear, she said. You don't want to turn yellow from too much sun. I'll do your back, Daddy, said Elo. Why, thank you, Elo. Maybe this will help your poogemia go away. It's bleukemia, sweetie. Daddy has bleukemia. Elo kept rubbing the sunscreen onto her dad's back. Go away, bleukemia. Nobody wants you here, she said, never looking up. Whose turn is it? Asked Lorak. Haon, said Elo. What letter do I have? He asked. I said solar system. M again. How about microwave? Nope, said Enoch, shaking his head. Moo, ma, me, me, mo. Mobius. Lorak smiled. Good, Haon. Sandor, said Enoch. What's that? Asked Haon. I never heard of it. It's a little town where I first met your mother. It was also the name of the college we went to. You met in college? Said Elo. Yes, I was studying holographic plumbing, and your mom was majoring in the history of advanced heat transfer. Dear, you have R. Romulus. It's always S. I hate this game, cried Elo. Did you mean in class? Asked Haon. Oh no, said Enoch. We didn't have any of the same classes. We met at a dance, said Lorak. Saskatchewan, interrupted Elo. Elo looked around at them and then softly repeated her S place. Saskatchewan. I've never heard of that place, Elo, said Lorak. She made it up, said Haon smugly. Elo smiled as she revealed her little secret. I made it up. Ignoring her, Haon said to his parents, like, was this love at first sight or what? As a matter of fact, said Lorak.
When your father and I first met, I was 20.
19.
20, and all I could think about was advanced G-transfer. Well, that isn't to say that I hadn't noticed. And when he ran all around the campus in his warm-up suit,
I was the captain of the somersaulting squad. I could roll 50 yards in 7 seconds flat. Every day I'd be out working on my bod. How could your mother help but notice that?
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I liked him.
Love me.
Liked him, but there was no way that I was about to tell him. Japan! Luckily, I found out that there was a mixer.
What's that?
A dance, so summoning up my nerve, I thought I'd take a chance.
Wow!
Jumping, the band was hot. It was a big spring weekend after exams, yeah. Be there or be square was the motto of the day, and we were dressed to the nines, and we were swinging and swaying. Never before had I been hypnotized, and so willingly
I thought I'd throw up on the floor.
Calmly she put her little hand in mine.
It was clammy.
Stared in my eyes, I felt it down my spine. And though it was just a second, it seemed to be an eternity. Everything stopped. And then she said,
nice shoes.
Nice shoes?
Yeah. He had on bright pink plastic boots, which were very hot in those days. They called them cotton candy cloud hoppers.
Thanks.
You somersault, right?
Yeah, I roll.
Well, do you dance as well as you roll?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Oh, it's a slow dance. I don't really slow dance.
Didn't you just ask me to dance?
Yeah, but I...
Come on. So we danced.
And fell in love.
And that was how we met. Children call it love at first sight, or love by design. All you need to know is that
I give him my love.
and I give her mine.
And here we all are, said Enoch, and he bent over and gave her a kiss. The children rolled their eyes, but they were glad. The sun was rising higher in the sky. Lorak looked at the kids and said, "You both need more sunblock so you don't turn into grilled blue cheese sandwiches. Haon, you first." Haon put his arm straight up to let his mom put on the sunblock. As she started to rub the sunblock on, Haon heard pardon the expression, unearthly sound coming from the water. He stood up almost in a trance and without saying a word to his family, walked toward the shore. He reached the beach and walked a few steps out into the water. He was in the midst of a light that seemed to only exist over the water in one spot. He saw a being who he could not really describe. The being, whose shape was only vaguely outlined, spoke. It was a soft, friendly, confident voice. "Haon, did you call me?" "I did." "And I bet that nobody else can see you, right?" "None but you. I have distracted the minds of everyone on this beach so that they are preoccupied with other matters. To them, it is as if you don't exist." "Wow, cool. How do you do it?" "Haon, don't you want to know who I am and why I have come?" "Who are you and why have you come?" "Who I am is of no importance, and why—" "I thought you wanted me to ask." "People usually do," sighed the creature. It seemed appropriate. Haon was a bit confused by the creature's behavior. "Well, who are you? My parents don't like it when I talk to strangers on strange planets, and you're pretty strange, so I'm Haon. Who are you?" "Very well. Your reasoning shows great wisdom for one so young, and so I will tell you what no one has been told about me for thousands of years. I will tell you who I am." "Cool." "My name is of no importance." "But you said—" "Oops, sorry. It has been a while. My name is boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom." "Wow!" "And that is only my first name," said the creature with great pride. "My middle name is Skibom Bomb Bomb Zabomb." "That's great. Do you have—" "I do, of course, have a last name," the creature went on, enjoying itself immensely. "My last name is Sabon de Boobab de Bebop de Boop." "That's a long name." "Not where I come from. Can you remember it?" Sure. Boom chicka boom, skibom bom 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 bom, zabom bom, sabon de booby dooby tooby. Listen again carefully, Haon. Boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, chicka boom chicka boom, skibom bom bom zabom, sabon de boobab de bebop de boop. Say it with me slowly. They both spoke the name carefully and slowly. Boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom. Skip bomb 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 zabomb. Saba and the booba and the bebop and the boo. Well done, Haon. You are a bright young fellow, and that brings me to the reason for our meeting. I am from a race of beings who are rather nomadic in their habitational predilections. What's that mean? I'm homeless by choice. Oh, don't you get sad? We are sensitive beings, but not ruled by our emotions. We feel, as you would say, but are not overwhelmed by these feelings. As I was saying, we are nomadic in our lifestyle, free to explore multidimensionally through time and space, through anti-time, anti-space, or anti-pasta. Well, what do you want with me? Haon, that is the marvel. Let me answer that. Every once in a blue moon, and believe me, I've seen a few, my friends and I choose someone in the universe of good stock and character for an experience of world-shattering implications. You want me to save the universe from some evil warlords? Well, no, that's not what I had in mind. I could do it, you know. No doubt you could. Your spirit is very strong, but what we have in mind for you is very different and possibly even more of an intense experience. Wow, what is it? Haon, you are to be given a gift that exceedingly few children ever receive. You will have the opportunity to meet your own future adult self. What? You will meet Haon at the exact age your father is now. Flipped out. The meeting can be whatever you make of it, life-affirming, frightening, it's up to you. When will I meet him? You mean when will you meet you? Very soon, Haon, on this trip that you and your family are presently on. Why do you guys do this anyway? Think of us as a multidimensional grant foundation that seeks deserving beings and offers them experiences of value rather than large financial sums, knowledge rather than money. I know this sounds dumb, but how will I know me when I meet me? Not dumb at all. The bulk of the responsibility is usually assigned to the adult self to make the connection happen. Believe it or not, Haon, responsibility is supposed to be an adult trait. I know some responsible adults. My parents are pretty good, and my school teacher this year, Mr. Asafalbud, but I've seen some weirdos too. And by becoming aware of those around you who appear irresponsible, you begin to understand the contrast with those you can trust. This is how we learn, Haon. Haon nodded in agreement. This made a lot of sense to him. So, Haon, meditate upon these matters and look for your own inner wisdom. I'll be going now back to wherever I came from. Will I see you again? In this universe, all things are possible. If our meeting again should be beneficial, then it might happen. Meanwhile, you have another meeting to dwell upon. Goodbye, Haon, and have a nice vacation. I believe that you and your family are about to visit the cheese canyons of Umbilicus. Yes, they are a magnificent, if unusual, natural wonder. Enjoy your trip. I bid you farewell. Goodbye, boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, boom chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom, ska bomb 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 zabomb, sabon de boo bam de bee bam de boo. Wow, thought Haon. I'm going to meet myself grown up. The kids at school will never believe this. Maybe I could bring them to show and tell. Maybe I could bring myself to show and tell. Mom and Dad won't believe me. I don't even believe me.
This is the weirdest thing I've heard all day. I'm gonna meet myself grown up during our summer family holiday. I'm gonna meet myself grown up. What will he look like? What will I look like? I guess I'll look like me. What will he sound like? What do I sound like? I guess I sound like me. A little deeper though. I've got a billion questions in my head about a life that I have not yet led. Like, will I be married? Will I have children? Or will I have a job? Will I be famous, very successful, or just no good slob? Should I believe what I have just been told? That I will meet the me that's growing old? Am I a coward or will I be bold? And can the future really be foretold? Am I gonna meet myself? I'm gonna meet myself grown up.
Suddenly, Haon found himself sitting by his mother again on the beach blanket. His mother was still putting sunblock on his arm. Mom, what are you doing? Protecting you from getting burned, dear. You don't want to turn yellow. Mom, how long have I been gone? Do you mean how long have we been on the trip? Wasn't I gone from the blanket for about 15 minutes? Haon, are you all right? I think maybe you've gotten too much sun today already. I'm okay, Mom. I just thought that... Never mind. Haon realized that discussing his new secret might get a strange reaction from his parents. He decided to keep quiet about it. Honey, said Lorak to Enoch, I think we should pack it in for today and go back to the hotel. Your son is acting very strange. What's wrong, Haon? Nothing, Dad. I'm okay. Well, said Lorak, starting to pack up the remaining food, it's time to go anyway. Tomorrow's the trip to Umbilicus, and we've got some repacking to do. Oh, just a few more rays, honey, said Enoch. Finally, he was on vacation. He hated leaving the beach. He also hadn't heard Haon act strange. Pack it in, pal, ordered Lorak. Elo came over to her brother and whispered in his ear, What's wrong with you? She always knew when something was up. None of your dopey business, he whispered back. I know something's wrong. I can always tell with you. If I told you, you wouldn't believe me. Yes, I would. she protested. "No, you wouldn't. I will. I swear by the beak of a barfing buffalo bird." "Well, okay," and he whispered in her ear. End of chapter 4. Chapter 5. The next stop for the Illimath family on their space vacation was Umbilicus. Specifically, the cheese canyons of Umbilicus. If you Earthlings have ever seen pictures of the Grand Canyon, you'll have a not bad idea of what the cheese canyons look like. They are awesome in the original sense of the word, meaning that they inspire awe. Of course, there is a significant difference between the Grand Canyon of Earth and the cheese canyons of Umbilicus. Can you guess the difference? You're about to find out. Our blue family stood with a crowd of intergalactic tourists by the railing overlooking the canyon. They stared with great excitement. One could look straight down over a mile to the canyon bottom. Tourists from all over the galaxy, many of them wearing Hawaiian-style shirts, stood listening. Some wore space helmets. A few held their noses. This was difficult for people from the planet Gunkafish. Since they have one arm and three noses, they kept switching from one nose to the other. And as they stared at the canyon, they listened to a blue young man who wore a dome ball cap that read Yankees. He was, in fact, a tour guide. The atmosphere is actually breather-friendly to most of you, but right here in this area of the canyons, the aroma is rather strong. That's because the canyon walls are in fact made of cheese. Engineering teams in conjunction with geologists have estimated that about 8 quadrillion megabunks of cheese are contained in the primary canyon alone. That's a lot of lunches for the kids, folks. The crowd laughed good-naturedly. Many snapped photos of each other posing by the canyon railing. You hear stories now and then that a giant rat lives down in the canyon. We've yet to verify that one, ladies and gentlemen, but I hear tell that the other night the security guard at this very railing was sleeping, peeping down over the railing about midnight or so, when all of a sudden, up from the canyon floor comes this voice. Hey, up, there. How about throwing down, a loaf of rye. The crowd laughed uproariously at his joke. Haon, however, who stood listening intently with his family, remained transfixed. "Hey, Dad, is there really a giant rat?" "It's just a joke, son. But how do they know there isn't one?" "There just isn't. It's just a silly joke. Believe me, kids." "Now, as you know," the guide went on, "last summer, because a careless camper forgot to carefully put out his campfire, we had a serious level 3 fire over in the secondary canyon, and we ended up with about 3,000 square miles of grilled cheese. The damage to the local fauna and flora was devastating. It's going to take 20 years for the canyon walls to regenerate themselves, so please, folks, when you're camping or if you still smoke, be careful with those laser lighters. Okay, we'll take a few minutes to enjoy the view. Feel free to ask me any questions that you might have." Lorak approached the guide. "Your face is familiar. Are you on TV?" "Actually, in the off-season, I'm an actor. You probably saw the General Defoliant commercial, the one with the jungle war. That was me being blown up with my legs flying over my head." "That's right," said Lorak. "Honey, this man's an actor on TV." "Really?" said Enoch, coming over. "So what brings you here?" "Summertime, there's not much TV work, so I take this job every year. This way, I have a live, captive audience." While they chatted, Haon and Elo wandered over to the railing. They stared down at the canyon basin far below. It looked as if falling to the bottom would take forever. Elo was up on her toes at the railing, looking down. "Do you think that there's really a giant rat, Haon?" "I don't know, but if everybody jokes about it, maybe it's because they're scared." "It sure is a long way down." "But a rat could climb it, especially a giant rat." "How big is he?" And here, dear reader, you will note that young Elo no longer surmises, but rather has already come to believe in the truth of existence of the rat. "He's big, all right." Haon had also accepted rumor as fact. "Look at all that cheese he's got. He's probably about 80 or 90 feet tall." Elo let go of the railing. She was getting very scared. "I'm going back to Mommy and Daddy." "Go ahead. I want to look around." "Come on, Haon. We're not supposed to be here alone. You're just dopey enough to fall over." "I'll be there soon. Go ahead without me." be careful, Dopey. And with that bit of affection, disguised as nastiness, she left his side. Haon leaned over the railing. No one was watching him. No one was listening to him. At first, he whispered,
"Hey, Rat. Yo, Rat, are you there?"
He laughed at his own joke. Then he felt bold and he spoke louder.
"Hey, Rat, what's happening? Got a loaf of rye for you."
What happened then happened at lightning speed. Haon saw the paw, longer than his own arm, reach up from below the canyon side of the railing. He was yanked over the side, and for the briefest of moments found himself impossibly suspended in space. If he had had time, he might have thrown up from the shock of being pulled over the railing. He knew he would soon be a bit of splatter on the bottom of the canyon floor, but no! Something or someone was carrying him down the canyon walls at full speed. He'd been carried only about a nauseating 30 feet or so when his carrier ducked inside the walls of the canyon. He was in a cave built into the side of the canyon, not far from the top where the tourists were, but no one could see the cave, and no one saw whatever or whoever had a hold of him. Haon's heart was pounding through his chest. As his eyes adjusted to the darkness, he heard a gravelly voice.
"Okay, where's the rye bread?"
Meanwhile, above, Enoch and Lorak stood in conversation with the guide. "I acted in summer stock theaters all over the Shrimp Nebula for years, but now that I'm starting a family, I can't afford it anymore, so I took this job." "You really seem to have a flair for it, though," said Lorak admiringly. "Thanks. It does get a bit boring, though. Nothing ever happens, except once in a while you get some fool show-off up on the railing." Enoch and Lorak looked at each other in knowing horror. "Where's Haon?" they both said. End of chapter 5. Chapter 6. I wish that I could tell you that the inside of the cave was marvelously decorated and full of great scientific wonders that would stir your imagination, but to be honest with you, it was pretty much just a cave. It did have a single light bulb hanging down from the ceiling on a wire. There was a beat-up old refrigerator, and there was a portrait on the wall. The portrait was of an old grizzled rat who wore a crown and a rather royal-looking robe. The picture frame was damaged. Haon found himself seated on a plain wooden chair, which creaked when he shifted his weight. Once again he heard the voice.
"Where's the rye bread?"
The voice came from a rat. The rat was about 6 feet tall and stood upright like a man. He was wearing an old sweatsuit. Haon was scared after his sudden over-the-railing canyon journey, but he was fascinated, and Haon's fascination often overrode his fear, for better or for worse. "You can speak!" he shouted in surprise. Now he heard many voices. He looked around, saw half a dozen giant rats. They laughed, whistled, and gave each other the high-4 paw slap.
"Why does this surprise you?" said the rat who had brought him there. "I never met a talking rat before." "I never met a talking rat I didn't like," said the rat who happened to be the head rat, although you'd have never known it by his clothing.
"I can't believe it," Haon said, still in amazement.
"If you go around assuming that all other species are of inferior intelligence, you will never notice when you're in the presence of those that you might learn from."
"What will I learn from you?" asked Haon earnestly.
"I don't know. We're only rats."
The rats laughed at this marvelous joke by their leader. It was a high-pitched, full-out belly laugh. The head rat now leaned over the chair close to Haon's face.
"Where is the rye bread?"
"I'm very sorry. I was just joking about the rye bread. What is rye bread, anyhow?" "Obviously, it's not from a civilized planet," said a tough-looking rat who wore sunglasses. He was smoking a cigarette, and when he made this comment, he threw down his cigarette and stamped on it.
"You were joking?" said the head rat. "Is that supposed to be funny? You pretend to have food for us, and in fact do not have the food?"
"I'm really sorry. I didn't know you existed."
"Is that what you say when you step on the grass and crush it to death? I'm sorry. I didn't know you existed." "You are a curious species. Your eyes show intelligence, but your assumptions show confusion. Would you like some cheese?"
"Thank you. Yes, what kind is it?" At this, the rats laughed their peculiar rodent laugh again. A rat in a black turtleneck shirt wearing a beret stared at Haon. "What kind is it?" he said.
Did you expect brie? There's only one kind of cheese here, said the head rat, who was running out of patience, trying to explain the world to this little blue boy from above. This is a cave, not a deli. If this were indeed a deli, I would be wearing an apron and you would see jars of pickles about. Am I wearing an apron? Do you see jars of pickles about? I think not. There's only canyon cheese here. With this last remark, he reached out and grabbed a handful of the wall and put it on a plate and handed it to Haon. At least he bowed a bit politely when he handed Haon the plate. Thank you, said Haon, who was trying to be polite himself in a rather uncomfortable situation. What will you drink? What have you got? The head rat walked over on his hind legs to the refrigerator. He peered inside. Milk, diet milk, cherry milk, moth milk, worm milk, and one Sprite. Olive milk, please. A dairy good choice, my boy. The other rats who had heard this joke before ignored it. You live on canyon cheese and milk? Yes, that's true. We're in good health, but tired of our diet of cheese and milk. We long for other things that cannot be found in the canyon. Campers do leave food lying around, but there's so many of us in the canyon that it is a rare moment when we get to indulge in the exotic foods that we crave. Yeah, you must get sick of just eating cheese. The head rat stood close to Haon again. He peered deep into Haon's eyes. It's worse than that. Our entire habitat has become endangered by our need to eat. We are in fact consuming the canyon bit by bit. Why don't you leave? We do not leave because most species on the outside are hostile to the likes of us. And we do not leave because the cheese canyons of Umbilicus, for better or for worse, are our home. It's a textbook case of a love-hate relationship. We only wish that we could improve our dietary lot and simultaneously save the canyons. It's truly a pain in the tail. We're eating ourselves out of house and home.
The canyon we live in is all that we've got. It's painful to think of the things we have not.
Our ceiling was flat once, but now it's a dome.
We're eating ourselves out of house and home. The cave that you're in now gets bigger each day. Each morning the walls seem much further away.
Our little rat hole is a big rat home.
We're eating ourselves out of house and home. For a change of diet, bring it on home, we'll try it. Won't you please whip up something that we can sink our teeth into, but let it be a food that's new. No more cheese, please. As every canyon rat chews on his house, there soon won't be food left for even a mouse.
Our prospects look thin as the canyons we roam.
We're eating ourselves out of house and home. Life here is always cheesy. We're feeling very queasy. Couldn't you help us out and bring us back some brand new dishes? Maybe chocolate or knishes. How about a waffle or a falafel? So go to your restaurants, eat well and have fun. Don't worry about us just because we have none.
We'll stay in our canyon and we'll never roam.
We'll be eating ourselves,
Clearing the shelves,
eating ourselves out of house and home. Of house and home.
Oh, how dejected the head rat looked now. His posture had changed from defiant revolutionary to slumped over prisoner. It was embarrassing to see.
Gosh, said Haon, finishing his milk. I wish that there was something I could do for you. Don't be concerned, kid. We'll just suffer in silence. Do you like soft pretzels? Said Haon thoughtfully. An audible oohing and ahhing could be heard from the rats. We like soft pretzels, said the head rat a bit warily. After all, could outsiders be believed? Look, if you let me go now, I'll get you some soft pretzels. There's a guy up there selling them to the people who visit the canyons. The head rat stood up to his full height. He looked more powerful now. He still faced Haon with his body, but turned his head to the others. Let him go. He will bring us pretzels. More oohs and ahs from the rats. The only thing is, said Haon, I don't have any money and I don't want to steal them. Bring out the bag of metal chips, commanded the head rat. The rats brought out a large burlap sack. They emptied it out on the floor. A mountain of coins poured onto the floor. Wow, said Haon. He had never seen so much money. These are monies, are they not? Said the head rat. Yes. The head rat crossed his front legs as people crossed their arms. Thoughtless people throw these things over the canyon walls. Often we have heard oaths from the tourists up above, such oaths as, I wish I had a bigger house, or I wish it would not rain next Tuesday on the planet Albumin. We hear these oaths, and that is our signal to run away, or immediately afterwards we are in danger of getting hit on the head by these monies. As you can see, we collect all such rubbish thrown by these people. We try to keep a clean canyon. Can you trade these for many pretzels? I sure can, but I don't think I'll need all of this to do it. Then kindly take what is necessary to purchase the pretzels. Haon got down on the ground and looked at the money. He scooped up a couple of handfuls and filled his pockets. Tell us your name before you go so that we may remember you as a true friend to umbilican rats. My name is Haon. Then farewell, Haon, friend to rats who only seek solace in an occasional gastronomical variation. Let us be off. At the top of the canyon, Haon's parents ran around frantically looking for him. Finally, they spotted a guard and started describing Haon. They did not notice just a couple of 100 feet away what was occurring at the railing. There stood a pretzel stand on wheels. The pretzel man also did not notice what was happening behind him. Two large furry paws deposited Haon carefully over the railing. Haon, his pockets bulging with coins, snuck quietly over to the pretzel stand. He hoped that his parents were not around to see this. How much are your pretzels? He asked the pretzel man. The pretzel man, who had been reading his newspaper, looked up, mildly amused to see this little boy. .333 big ones. How many pretzels do you have? Are you a cop? Said the man suspiciously. You don't look like a cop. I would like to buy all your pretzels on the basket they're in. The pretzel man had had a long weekend. He didn't need any wise guys bothering him today. Go away, boy, or I'm calling the guard. Haon, who was not going to take no for an answer, emptied his pockets and put all the coins on the pretzel cart. The pretzel man was amazed. Please, it's important. You've got a lot of money here, kid. Why do you want so many pretzels? I like to feed the rats. I like to feed the birds. They're very hungry this time of year. Look, kid, you've got plenty of money here. Take the pretzels, take the basket. I should give you the cart too, but I'll give you your change instead. Happy bird feeding. Thanks a lot. Bye now. Haon put the change in his pocket and dragged the basket of pretzels toward the railing. Then he stood there smiling at the pretzel man. The man smiled back, waiting to see Haon feed the birds. Haon just stood there smiling, rocking back and forth with his hands behind him. The man smiled back. Haon smiled back. Finally, the pretzel man rolled his now empty cart away. When he was gone, Haon turned around, lifted up the basket with all his might, and held it over the railing. Paws reached up to grab it. Thanks, Haon! Yee-haw! Yelled the rats with great gusto. Bye, guys! Wait, I got more money for you! Keep the change! Gosh, thanks, said Haon to himself. A moment later, Haon's family spotted him. They ran over to him. They were exasperated and scared and relieved simultaneously. Where have you been? Cried his mother, hugging him. You had us scared to death, said his dad. Lorak was shaking out of anger and fear. Where did you go? We thought you had fallen over the side. Mom, I was just walking around.
Well, don't wander off like that again, said Enoch. We don't want to lose you 17 million miles from home. Okay, Dad, I'm sorry, Mom. Enoch took out a brochure about the canyons. He and Lorak studied it. It seemed to Haon as if the incident was over. Then he noticed his sister. His tiny little sister, Elo, was standing with her hands on her hips, eyes flashing. And those eyes were aimed at Haon. She didn't believe her brother's story, and he was not a good enough actor to fool her. He looked at her, knowing that his own eyes were giving himself away. Just walking around, said Elo. Yeah, just walking around. She took a step closer. In a harsh whisper, she spoke. What's in your pockets? Now he was really caught. Nothing. Toys. Toys or nothing? One last chance to get away with it quietly. He'd bluff her with his tough big brother talk. Mind your own business, you dork. It didn't work. Show me or I'm telling. Okay. He showed her the remaining coins. Golly, where'd you get all that? Did you steal it? Haon's eyebrows raised as he realized he had to tell her something. No, I didn't steal it. Promise to keep it a secret. If I can keep a secret about boom chicka 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 boom, I can boom chicka boom. Boom chicka boom. I can certainly keep a secret about coins. Swear it. I swear by the beak of a barfing buffalo bird. You used that too recently. I swear by all the cheese in the umbilical canyons. If I break my oath, may I eat it all? Haon paused at the irony of the remark. Very well. The money was given to me by the giant rats that don't exist. But they don't exist, squeaked Elo in shock. Yes, they do. Elo was aghast. Lorak and Enoch, who had been conferring a few feet away, came over. Do you kids want something to eat? Said Enoch. I want a pretzel, said Elo. At this moment, the pretzel man rolled his empty cart right by them. Excuse me, said Enoch. How much are your... Sorry, all out, interrupted the pretzel man. Then he noticed Haon. Oh, you, the banker. How's business, kid? Hi, said Haon reluctantly. Haon tried subtly to signal to the pretzel man to not speak anymore. The pretzel man left. Enoch looked at Haon with a quizzical expression on his face. Do you know that man, son? I don't think so, Dad. Well, he seemed to recognize you, honey, his mom added. I guess I just have that kind of a face. A weird kind of a face. Elo just had to add that. Haon was so happy to have gotten away with his pretzel purchase that he ignored the remark. Okay, happy campers, said Enoch. Let's find a decent restaurant. I've had about enough excitement for one day. We're hitting the road tonight. Next stop, Shirley. We're going to buy gifts for everybody back home, added Lorak. And nothing for ourselves, said Enoch. Nothing over 2,000 pounds, said Lorak, and the two of them laughed. As they all headed for the parking lot, Haon, who was lagging behind, noticed that at the railing of the canyon, a four-armed fellow wearing a golf cap and green polyester leisure suit was about to toss a coin over the side. Haon ran towards him, yelling, Hey, mister, don't throw that coin. Huh? Said Four Arms. You'll hit the rats. Cut it out, kid. And with that, he tossed the coin. Oh, no, said Haon. They waited, staring at each other. Haon biting his lip and rocking back and forth, while Four Arms looked at Haon as if to say, So, I did it. 3 furry paws came over the side. The first one hit Four Arms in the head with his coin from 10 feet away. Then the other paws bombarded him with pretzels. Over the railing, high-pitched laughing could be heard echoing in the canyon. Four Arms stood there in shock, with his four hands covering his head. Haon smiled as if to say, Sorry, I told you so. Then he ran to catch up with his family. End of Chapter 6. So ends podcast episode 3 of Space Vacation, the sci-fi musical comedy for the whole family. Book lyrics and music by Jonathan L. Segal. All instruments played digitally by Jonathan and recorded on Logic Pro in my little backroom studio. The singers were recorded by Chip Fabrizi at PPI Studios in New York. I used 4 wonderful singer-actors. Keegan Gullidge played Haon, Lucia Long played Elo, Nick Gasworth played Enoch, and Lauren Reese played Lorak. All 4 of them also played all the other character voices on the album. And don't forget, you can hear all the songs on the album anytime you like at spacevacationthemusical.com. Space Vacation is a family show. Grandparents can play it for grandkids, and grandkids can play it for their friends. Please share it with all generations. Space Vacation is looking for a smart producer to stage it or film it. Please let us know if you know that person. Please subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for listening, and I'll get to work on episode 4. And remember, the universe is like a song.
Chicka-boom, chicka-bum-bum-bum, chicka-chicka-chicka, chuck-chuck-chuck-chuck. The universe is like a song. Chicka-boom, chicka-bum-bum-bum, chicka-chicka-chicka, chuck-chuck-chuck-chuck. The universe is like a song.
Haon, you do what your teacher says tomorrow. I don't want you getting lost in an oxygen atom.
Okay, Dad.
Does Miss Flanagan use the buddy system when your class is walking in the street?